Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Daily Cerebral Palsy and Fitness podcast. I'm here with Brian and Jamie. Brian is actually a former U.S. combat veteran for the Marines, and
Yeah.
thank you for your service, by the way.
Thanks, David.
Who has overcome PTSD, grief, and trauma as a child, and he uses that experience to help motivate others in the same situation. And Jamie here, Jamie and Brian together have started WeaponBrand, which helps promote safety, personal safety, realtor safety, self-defense, and various techniques. And I'm excited to learn all about that. Welcome, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
David.
We're excited to be here.
Absolutely.
So to start out, Brian, so tell me about your experience as a U.S. Marine, and how did that kind of how do you use that to kind of help motivate others?
Well, I mean, I learned a lot, obviously, in the time that I had in the Marine Corps, and I really feel that it helped shape me. I feel like I fell into the Marine Corps kind of on accident, and it's a funny story how that happened, but because I was going to go to college to either wrestle or play football. That was my whole, in school. That was my whole goal, I guess you could say, or my whole thought process. And I was late to school one day, and I wasn't going to be able to start that night for a football game. It was on a Friday, and I ran into my head coach, and he's like, "Follow me." And he took me into this room where all these kids were taking this test, and I had no idea what this test was. It was called the ASVAB. It's the battery test for the military. So I took that test, and somehow, some way, I did really awesome at it, I guess. Luckily. So when that happened, I started to get calls from recruiters, like a lot of kids that age group do, and I ended up going into a recruiter's office and thought, well, I'm going to do this. I might as well do the hardest one and pick the Marine Corps, and it pretty much shaped who I was. So I mean, it obviously I had a lot of I guess skills that I didn't realize that I had, and I did pretty well at it. And when I got out, I worked for the state of Ohio and did a lot of very similar things with them. And when I resigned from that, we opened this business and a training academy in Ohio, and all of those skills that I learned and that I honed in on with the military and the state, they're really coming to prove true now that we have this business and just helping people. So I'm grateful for the life that I've lived so far.
That's fantastic.
Thanks,
Jamie,
man.
did you have to did you serve alongside Brian, and that's how you met, or
I didn't, but I have known Brian my entire life. And he's known me his entire life, less 3 weeks, because we are cousins and
okay?
we're born 3 weeks apart.
Oh
But no,
wow.
I did
Yeah.
not serve, but I attract military men in my life, I guess, because my boyfriend is Navy, my dad is Army, and my business partner is Marines. So,
My sister's the same way. She's dated an Army guy. Now she's in the Marine now. So
oh, right on.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, I've had family in the military too. So
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
so Jamie, tell me a bit about yourself.
Um, I don't even know where to start. I don't know. I guess I was,
Hi, I'm
you know,
Jamie.
yeah, I grew up in Ohio, which was where Brian and I are both from. And when I was 25 years old, I knew from the time that I was 6 that I didn't want to be in Ohio for the rest of my life. I knew that there was something else out there for me. So I went to live in Los Angeles, California, and I lived there for 17 years and was in the entertainment industry working at radio stations, which was what I thought the best job in the world, until I got this job. So that was such a great job. I'm a huge country music fan, and one of the radio stations I worked at was a country radio station. So I got to meet all of the celebrities and artists and everybody that would come through the studio. And I just thought that that was the best job you could ever have. Well, this job is actually better because people really appreciate what you're doing. We get
Yeah.
letters, notes, and text messages all the time saying, thank you. You guys saved my life. I don't know what I would do without you guys. That was the best money that I've ever spent on anything that I've ever bought for myself. So it's super gratifying. But I was moving out of LA and going to move to Maui, and
Wow.
sold everything that I owned. And the universe, what's that saying? Make a plan and God laughs. That was,
Yep.
yeah. So Maui ended up being St. Petersburg, Florida, where I am today. And it's all good because I ended up meeting my boyfriend, who's the love of my life, and being able to start a business with my cousin Brian, who, had I not been here, it would be very difficult to do on Maui. Maui is a pretty liberal state where, and being on an island, there's the crime is, pretty low. There's a lot of drugs and stuff. But yeah, Florida's a much better place for us business wise than Maui would have been. So
I can imagine, especially like I said, now that I guess the crime rate of shootings have gone drastically up. It's very important that us as a society are prepared for any situation that comes to us. And to go into that, how did you guys? When did you guys decide to start Weapon Brand?
well, Brian was going through a breakup and I hate like continually having to say that, but really he was going through a breakup. So he came down to Florida to visit me, and he wanted some saltwater therapy because I don't know if you're familiar with this, but saltwater cures everything. So he needed a little saltwater therapy for his heart, and he came down to visit. And he knew that I was going to a music festival in a couple of months because I go to a lot of concerts and music festivals and, things where there's tens or hundreds of thousands of people. And with all of the active shooter type situations happening, and just with the world being as dangerous as it is, he said, I'd really like to put on this workshop for you and your friends. So I was like, all right, yeah, that sounds cool. I had a lot of friends who were affected by the mass shooting in Las Vegas,
Right.
and I could have very easily been there because that's typically a type of festival that I would have gone to. And so I was like, yeah, I can definitely use something like this. And so I put it on Facebook, and within about 90 minutes, I had 30 people who said that they were interested in coming.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, let's do this at a coffee shop or somewhere because I can't have all these people at my house. So we did it at a coffee shop. And once people met Brian, heard his background, heard his stories, saw what he had to offer, his knowledge, his education, his style of training, they all wanted more. And they were like, how can we book Brian to come to our group, or how can we book Brian to come speak at our office, or I want to learn self-defense from him. And we're like, all right, let's do this. And that's how Weapon Brand in Florida was born. Brian had started doing this in Ohio on his own without me. And I'll let Brian get into that, but it really hadn't, it hadn't really been developed yet. It was like in the planning stages of it. And so him and I just kind of took it and ran with it. And here we are a little over a year later, just pounding it out every day with, we have literally podcast after meeting, after appointment, after training, after, our days are packed now. So
That's fantastic. I'm really happy for you guys.
thanks. We love it. It's I was happy when I saw your podcast because we actually have a student who has cerebral palsy, and his name is Dylan.
Oh.
And Brian has great nicknames for everybody, and we call him Brian made up the nickname Killin' Dylan. And man, I just love that kid so much. And so when I saw that your podcast had something to do with, cerebral palsy and fitness. Brian's an adaptive athlete coach, so we love dealing with that community.
Oh, great.
And helping people who, sometimes don't feel so empowered to be able to protect themselves. But yeah, every student that comes into us, we hope that they leave more empowered to be able to be their own weapon, whether that's mentally or physically.
Right. And I'm kind of glad he mentioned cerebral palsy and adaptability, because that's actually one of my questions here on the podcast is when it comes to self-defense. And example for myself, I have cerebral palsy. Are there ways for me to protect myself if I'm in a situation where I'm in danger, physically?
100%, David.
Okay.
100%, man.
Awesome. I'd love to I would love to pick your brain
Yeah,
outside of the podcast one of these days, and so I
yeah.
can get some ideas, because I used to do Muay Thai and boxing outside of here
Nice,
years
nice,
ago. So I
nice.
love doing that like all the time.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm a Muay Thai practitioner myself.
That is fantastic,
Yeah,
and the fact that
yeah,
you go above and beyond just the general population and work with
yeah.
people with disabilities, that's very admirable for you, for both you guys. I love that.
It truly is rewarding because, man, I know, there are people like yourself that you don't allow that to put limits on you, and but there are people that do. There's people out there that and I've met them, I've trained with them, I've talked to them, and there are those people out there that have those limitations, but what they don't realize is that's just a limitation to one avenue. There's so
Sure.
many different roads out there, right? And they're only limiting themselves to that one avenue, and it allows them to almost get down on themselves. I've
Right.
noticed a lot. And but one thing that I love to do is just basically ask, okay, what are your limitations? Okay, now what are your limitations? If I gave you a magic, just this magic skill right now, what limitations do you feel like you would be able to um, get rid of, in a sense, if you had some training? And we just try to pick through that and find those different avenues, I guess you could say, and to be able to get to where they need to be. So if you need to be able to, learn to defend yourself, then we would find that avenue, in a sense, or that road, that highway to get there. And I'll give you an example. I was doing for one of my Crossroads adaptive athlete certifications. Um, you had to do three separate people, and they 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 actually wheeled this guy in who literally had no legs. He had no legs. He was an amputee. He was an Army veteran. He was in the Iraqi War, which was the same war that I was in, and he had a family. He had a wife and a child, and he said, I saw this opportunity to come in and get a free training and kind of find out what I'm really able to do in this wheelchair. And I looked at him like, man, there's still so much you could do. And I said, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to be able to protect my family. I said, okay. So, we talked a little bit about firearms, but he was in the Army, so he was already well versed with that. And I said, just physically, if you didn't have a firearm, what would you like to be able to do? And he said, well, defend them. I'd like to be able to learn some type of striking, and you'll appreciate this, especially doing some Muay Thai. Uh, Basically taught him boxing in his wheelchair. And man, it was like this guy, when he actually left the building, to me it seemed like he was an entirely different person. I mean, he lit up, man. He just felt confident. He felt empowered. Him and his wife was there. She was, so unbelievably thankful for it. And his child was still pretty young, but him just having that confidence of being able to use what he does have to reach one of his goals, which was to be able to be confident in protecting his family. That's why we do it. That feeling right there when he left and he was confident. That's exactly why we do this. So there's some pretty amazing stories out there, and that's just one of them.
That's how it should be. When you do something, it should be about you have the passion for it. You know, if you have the
Yeah,
passion for
yeah,
something, then things can get done. And especially when you are as motivated as you are, and I tell this to my students all the time because I work with my students, that
yeah.
positivity radiates
Oh
to
yeah,
others. And
yeah,
when that radiates, that causes you to want to be successful too. You know, it's like when a kid sees like a new pair of like Jordans, and they're like, "Oh
yeah,
man, I want those too." So I'm gonna find a way to get them. If I gotta make extra money or do whatever, I'll do that. You know, and that's the best thing is that
absolutely.
motivation, that positivity,
Yeah.
and we need more of that today, especially today. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. There's so much negativity out there, and that's one thing with Jamie and I. We try to make each and every class, each and every event, every training as fun as we possibly can, because we know that this is such a serious topic, and there's a lot of people that, even without limitations, there's people that try to avoid this. If I could tell you, David, you may have some limitations, and that would hold you back from learning some type of self-defense because you don't really know our system, um, and how easy it really is. There's people out there that have those limitations without having a physical limitation,
Right.
only because they're scared of it. And it's like, man, if they only took one class of ours, if they had one conversation with us, their entire view of that would change. And we've proved that. We've proved that because the high majority of our clients, I would say in the 90th percentile, have come back for more or have become some type of friend or community or family with us, after they got to know us and take the class. And those were people that came in that were scared. They were scared of what we were doing. So yeah, I mean, even people that don't have physical, um, limitations still have that limitation of, man, I don't want to do this because I'm scared. So yeah, absolutely, man.
You brought up a good you guys brought up a good point now. You know, me being an educator and being around educators,
Yeah.
do you think it'll ever be a requirement for teachers not to just have firearms, but to be adequately adequately equipped with like self-defense techniques where where if they don't have the weapon near them or on them, they can fight off the intruder?
I don't think I mean, in my personal view, I don't believe that it's ever going to be something that's, mandated. I don't think it's ever going to be something that's even really out there that's prevalent, just because we're so short on educators. Um, However, I do think it's an amazing idea, especially, we have in our level 3, we have self-defense levels 1 through 5, and our level 3 it's a level where we teach individuals how to use different types of subject control, and it's a very innovative form of subject control. It's actually the system that I typically would teach people that deal with kids and deal with
Right.
patients as well, in a medical setting, just because they're not striking them, they're not doing any real type of joint manipulation. They're doing all innovative type of anchor points and techniques and manipulating their bodies in a sense to where they can still protect themselves, but even keep others safe also. So that's in our level 3. But if we could teach every teacher that, to be perfectly honest with you, and there'd be some people that debate this, but I really wouldn't even see a reason to have firearms in schools other than
Yeah.
maybe some security personnel. But yeah, if we could get teachers to get on board to take the classes that we offer, not only active shooter but subject control type stuff and some self-defense, they would be very, very well equipped, I would say, at the bare minimum.
To interject there, just today, one of my good friends is a teacher in the Akron public school systems in Ohio, which is a huge school district. And the teachers were going to go on strike, and they just were able to negotiate their contract, I think late last evening, and decided not to strike. But the whole thing that was around the strike was teacher safety. Akron City schools, most of the schools are inner city public schools. And I know my friend personally has been assaulted twice by students. And the students weren't having any sort of repercussion for their actions of both physical and verbal abuse to the teachers. But there was only one resource officer that would travel to different schools. So there wasn't a resource officer at every school. They didn't have metal detectors, gun detectors at every entrance. They had one metal detector that would also go to different schools. And I might not have all of my facts because, that I'm kind of getting some of that from her, but the general gist is the teachers just didn't feel safe. And I said to her, I said, well, if you've been assaulted twice, it wasn't with a firearm, it was, physically with someone's hands. I said, wouldn't you feel better as a teacher if you knew how to defend yourself, protect yourself without hurting that student? She's like, absolutely. But it's not something that is even in a lot of schools peripheral vision of, this could be something that's important. It's more, let's get more metal detectors, or let's get more resource officers, which I think are definitely needed. But and I know Ohio did pass where teachers could carry in school with a certain amount of training. I think only one school board, maybe in the whole state, actually approved that to be okay in their school district. Even though the state of Ohio said it was okay, the schools don't want that. So.
Right. It's like I said, it's one of those things that's for a lot of people, it's split, it's 50-50, it's touchy. And and when it comes to public opinion and things like this, I believe that we should respect anybody regardless of what they think about it. It's like if you don't agree with it, great. If you do, great as well. Just a matter of respect, and because people will go up in arms about one topic, and they're like, why would you like go off when they're just stating their opinion? They're entitled to that.
Yeah.
And
I actually asked, another good friend is the president of the school board for her school district, and I asked about excuse me, teachers carrying firearms in their schools after the law had passed in Ohio that they're able to do that. And she said it was never even brought up at their school district meeting. Like, it's, the teachers don't want it so badly that it's not even brought up at a board meeting, as opposed to not even being voted on. So they're not protecting themselves with firearms, which is fine. We don't think that that's the answer either. But okay, if you're not going to do that, like, do something to learn to protect yourself.
right. I mean, there are other various ways. There's like self-defense techniques, like Ryan and I were talking about earlier. You could fight. Physically, just handle the perpetrator or whoever's trying to cause danger. It doesn't necessarily have to be weapons all the time, but it's always good to have that training in the back of your mind in case there's a situation where physically you just can't handle it. You have to find another method, other skills. And speaking about skills, I know you said I know you guys' mission is, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the one skill to protect yourself. I think it's that you mentioned in the I was reading the bio earlier. I was trying to remember what you said. So
we say the one skill, what is it, Brian? Like the biggest investment you hope you'll never need.
Yeah.
There we go. That's what it was. Sorry about that.
We have a lot of different phrases and slogans. Yeah. But we hope that
it's the most important skill that you hope you never need.
Yeah, we hope that you come and pay for the class and then never have to use anything that you learned physically. We do think that whatever you're getting out of it mentally is going to carry with you, whether you ever have to use self-defense or not.
Right.
But the physical part, we pray that you never have to use what we teach you, and that it was a big old waste of money. But it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Exactly. That's what I tell my students when it comes to education, when they're doing math and reading and all these different subjects, and especially math, because they're like, so why do we need to learn about the quadratic formula and exponents and checks and balances and all this kinds of stuff when my career path doesn't even involve that? I'm like, you never know. They might throw it at you one day and be like, what's the, what's the square root? What's the square root of 25? And there, because one of my kids the other day, for example, we were just doing I was helping him with a couple of questions, and he's like, man, we're doing exponents, and I'm like, what's 2 to the third power? And he looks at me, and I'm like, is it 6? I'm like, no, and I'm like, this is hard. I'm like, 2 to the third power is 8, and he's like, how is that? Because you're multiplying. Every time you go up an exponent, you multiply by that number, by the base. And he's like, he's like, I still don't get it. It's just difficult. I'm like, well, that's how it
I'm
is.
just like thinking to myself, is it 6? Is it 8? And I run 2 businesses, but math is not my strong suit, but
Yeah,
it is
Math is hard.
math is hard.
yeah, math wasn't my strong suit either. I was my actual career path before I decided to go into education and into advocacy was meteorology. I wanted to be a hurricane hunter.
That's
Go
cool.
inside the planes, you know, study hurricanes, study their strength, because I find the weather fascinating. Every time a hurricane hits, I get excited. I'm like, come on, bring it over here. I want to see that strength, how bad it is. And people look at me like, no, we don't want hurricanes here. I'm like, I just love them. I just love studying them and seeing how they form and how strong they get. I don't like the damage. Let me get that out there. I just like the storm itself, how it forms and develops. So
I avoid them at all costs. So if I know
yeah,
I tell my boyfriend, if there's a hurricane, I'm out of here. There's no reason I'm staying. Like there's nothing that's going to get me to stay. So have fun riding it out on your own, but I'm leaving.
right. But once you go through one, I tell people you pass the initiation. If you can get through one major hurricane, you're officially a Floridian.
I don't think I'll ever officially be a Floridian then because I'm not staying for it.
Oh,
So, in regards to Weapon Brand, where do you plan on taking this within the next few years? Do you want to take this nationally, internationally, globally?
We joke about, calling our corporate clients and asking them if they have a helipad so that we can land our helicopter when we come to do a training. But in all honesty, we're hoping that eventually we're the household name in self-defense. So we definitely will be franchising. We have an instructor development program happening right now that's just some of the details are being worked out on that, but we have some students who are interested, and we'll be recruiting more people who will come in and either be weapon brand instructors or be able to open up a weapon brand franchise of their own. We're working on some digital courses, and we already do travel nationally to do our trainings. We'll go anywhere that we're needed. So, and yeah, I don't mind going to Paris or Rome to do a training.
yeah.
That'd be awesome if you guys can get out there and really just motivate people around the world to promote safety. How safety is important everywhere. It's paramount.
Sorry, the sun was coming in and right on my face. Yeah, we just want to talk to everybody about being safe, being able to protect yourself. And, I don't think things are going to get any easier in the world that we're living in. So you got to prepare yourself.
You really do, and I have to say I really appreciate you guys doing what you do. It's really important. It's commendable. I mean, especially for myself, hearing firsthand that you also train people, in an adaptive class.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, man. I mean, like I said, I've never heard of anything like that. I've researched it, but to hear it firsthand, that's fantastic.
Just no matter what physical limitations you have, even just taking the one course that we offer, personal safety and threat awareness, and that's our creating a weapon mindset class. So it's not physical at all, but the crazy part about that is you still walk out of that class after about 2 hours sitting, listening, and learning, so much more confident and empowered that you're able to pick out a bad guy, pick out a bad situation, and avoid it. And that's one misconception about self-defense and the type of self-defense that we offer. It's more than just physical, it's mental. So even just taking that, I don't care what your physical limitations are, you're going to be able to learn something from it and be more confident that you're safer once you take that course. So that's just something to throw out there, David.
Oh, well, thank you guys. And like I said, we need more organizations like this to hop on board and help us with safety and and around everywhere around the US. So I hope you guys grow as fast as and as healthy and happy as possible. And
Yeah.
where can we find you guys, or do you guys have any openings for people to sign up for your classes?
Yeah, well, we would love to come to Orlando. We could even do like an adaptive athlete or an adaptive abilities self-defense class or personal safety and threat awareness. So we'll come to Orlando and do that anytime. Just let us know. But or any city in the US as well. But oh heck, let's just say we'll go anywhere in the world.
Go to Rome, baby. Go to Rome.
Yeah.
Jamie wants to go to Rome. I've never been there. Let's do it. David,
But
get your tickets. Get your plane tickets. Jamie's
Right.
taking us to Rome.
yeah.
Right.
But let me rack up a few more American Express points before I'm buying everyone's tickets.
All expenses paid, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In that case, we're going to Rome, Ohio.
Not in the wintertime. Not in the
Oh no.
Anyways, yes, we actually at the end of this month, we're doing self-defense level 1, self-defense level 2. We're doing a personal safety and threat awareness class. We have 3 different firearms classes this month because we actually do firearms trainings as well. Brian always says we don't care one way or the other if you have a firearm or not. We're not like, yes, go buy a firearm, or no, you shouldn't have a firearm. What we do want to say is that if you have a firearm, you're trained properly on it. Your concealed carry license isn't enough training. That's like having a driver's
Right.
license and never driving a car. Your concealed carry doesn't really get you the training that you need. So we have 3 firearms trainings at the end of the month. And then we do privates, groups, corporations, organizations, schools. And you can contact us through our website at weaponbrand.com to find out more information about all of those.
That's fantastic. And and like I said, I wish nothing but the best for you guys. And one last question for you all. I asked this to another guest that I had a few weeks ago, is would you guys ever do Shark Tank? Like go on the Shark Tank and talk to Cuban and Mr. Wonderful and Damon and try to get your brand out there that way?
I think I think we'd go anywhere.
Yeah. I just don't want to work with Mr. Wonderful. Though I'm sure he's very smart and I'm sure he could bring a lot to the table, but I have a feeling him and I would butt heads pretty good. So.
I like Cuban style. I like Cuban style.
Yeah, Cuban is a lot more of, he's technological, but he also likes to invest in things that might help the community,
Right,
you
right,
know. So
right. Our
yeah,
whole thing is man, we're we really feel like we have something that's so easy. It's crazy. It's something so easy, but it's so misconceived that it's like if we did go in front of a panel like that, if they really didn't understand where we were coming from, they just think, oh, well, they're just another self-defense company, but
right.
yeah, but we believe in what we do, and at this point, as much as an investment would help, I think we're building more and more and more each day. So we're going to get there organically and together, and
Awesome.
with the help from people like you, David.
Oh,
One podcast at a time.
yeah,
One
but
podcast at a time. Yeah.
and I'm grateful to help you guys out too. Thank you
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Like it means a
let's
lot.
be in touch and put something together for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Be fun.
for
Put
sure,
those
for sure.
Muay Thai skills to the test.
Right, I might be a little rusty, but I'm willing to go.
Yeah.
I'm willing to
Amen.
willing to go at it.
Yeah. Well, we'll just build on those skills that you have. That's all.
All right. Well, you guys can find this podcast on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and any other major podcasting out there. Uh, Brian and Jamie, thank you so much. And
Thank you, David.
also, this information will be in the description. So if you guys want to check out their organization, their mission, and to apply for their courses, it's all going to be there. And thank you guys for listening to this episode. Brian, Jamie, you guys are wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you,
We love,
David.
we love
It's been
being
fun,
on.
man.
Thank you so much.
And until next time, be safe, everybody.